tied with 107 points on the season.
Paul Dolan is in goal for Tacoma as we get underway. Preki at midfield. Drops it back. Tusha over now to Waters. Plays it ahead for Zungel. Back to Waters again at midfield. Just underway here at the arena. Slobo Ilijevski is in goal for St. Louis tonight. Waters at midfield, marked by Lane. Had it broken up right out in front of the goal, and off now to Ken Fogarty. Fogarty, the veteran defender in his own third of the field, will bring it out to midfield now. Takes his time, finds Daryl Duran. Duran getting it back over. Steve Tritchu plays it down in the right corner. Back out now to Tritchu. Tritchu controls on the right side, and the Tacoma third, and Dolan has to make an early save. Waters clears it back out to Preki in midfield. Preki getting it across. Back for Preki in the corner. Preki being marked down there rather closely. Ken Fogarty keeping an eye on Preki. Fogarty has seen most of the moves before, but Preki gets it out in front, and Daryl Duran dumped a Tacoma player right out in front of Slobo.
Rick Davis nearly had a tip in as he came in through the box. It was Redmond Lane and Daryl Duran who tied him up and stopped him from being able to score an easy goal.
Garcia finds Schultz in the right corner, and he scores! As coming down, the St. Louis Steamers. Schultz with a bomb, and it got right through Dolan at 1:17 of the opening quarter, and the Steamers have grabbed the early advantage here at the arena.
As will often happen, a near miss at one end translates into a goal at the other end. The Steamers got off lucky as Davis just barely missed a perfectly placed pass by Preki across the front of the Steamer goal line. He was tied up by Duran and Lane. The Steamers came down the other end. Garcia dishing a ball off to the right side to Schultz, and he hit it first time, and he kept it low, and he hit it very quick along the carpet. It got in underneath Dolan.
So quickly, the St. Louis Steamers are off to a 1-0 lead. Schultz is seventh from Garcia at 1:17 here of the first quarter, and it's 1-0 in favor of St. Louis. Ball belongs to Tacoma. Preki playing it in the corner. Shot by Sharp was knocked down out in front. Bain comes back to lend a hand. Valzone controls on the left side, and the St. Louis third now back out to James at midfield.
And Charlie Falzone began this season as a St. Louis Steamer. He went to the Tacoma Stars in the trade for Godfrey Ingram, and he still hasn't played that much for the Tacoma Stars. This is one of the few times he started.
Boki Bandovich has it now for St. Louis. Scores! Boki Bandovich took it to the top of the arc, made a little move, and then left-footed it past the fallen Dolan, and it's 2-0 Steamers. 1:52 the time of the goal.
You got to call that momentum. The Steamers didn't let up. As soon as they scored the first one, they started pressuring again. Boki Bandovich on a nifty move at the top of the arc. Just got himself enough space, just a few inches, to sneak a shot past Dolan's right side. And Bernie James was the defender there. He just didn't react quickly enough to Boki's move. And Boki normally goes to his right, but this time he went to the left foot. That may have surprised Bernie James and
Boki Bandovich's 19th goal of the year. Ivor Evans picks up the assist at 1:52. And very quickly, the Steamers have jumped on the Tacoma Stars 2-0 here at the arena. Tacoma in possession of the ball right now in the St. Louis third. James keeping it in. James plays it to the top of the arc, and going down there was Heel. A foul will be called on St. Louis. I think a little bit of a dive on the part of Heel. Nonetheless, the ball belongs to Tacoma. Crook played it across. Steamers broke that up, but Preki controls. Bill Crook off for Heel, turns around. His shot was blocked by Adati. Boki Bandovich now tries to clear with some help from Evans. They dribble out to midfield. Off for Boki Bandovich. Hundell wide open on the right side. They go on the other side, though, to Evans, and it was tipped away by Dolan.
All Evans needed to do was to make contact with that ball. He would have had Dolan beat. The pass by Boki was so good that all he would have needed to do was touch it in.
Heel back in midfield, plays it now into the left corner, into the St. Louis third. Peter Ward tries to work the ball free. St. Louis called for a foul. That'll be the second one. Now back for Crick as they quickly put the ball back in play. But Tacoma Stars off for Peter Ward. Blocked by Albert Adati right along the boards out in front of the goaltender Slobo Ilijevski. Ward worked it free again, but now St. Louis in control, and it's dumped down. Here's a break now coming down is Redmond Lane, but back to bother him was Bill Crook, and the shot sailed wide of the goal. We've played 3 minutes of the first quarter, and it already is 2-0 in favor of the Steamers. Bill Crook in his own third, back for Dolan in the goal, and the keeper now a little outlet pass to James. James pops it in the air out to midfield. Homer Screws is there. Screws now dribbling the ball in midfield for the Tacoma Stars, who will open the playoffs next week in San Diego. Zungel had it knocked loose. Lane picks it up and plays it back for Ken Fogarty. Fogarty to Daryl Durand at midfield. Durand slowing things down as the Steamers get organized offensively. Brings it into the Tacoma third. Over now for Redmond Lane along the left boards. Lane plays it down to the corner. Back out now for Ken Fogarty. Fogarty on the right point. Tried to play it through. That was knocked away by Tookshaw out in front. Fogarty playing it back out. Steve Tritchew. Tritchew plays it to the side of the goal, and it was broken up there by Waters. Back to the keeper, Dolan. Dolan's outlet pass comes for Preki. Hustling back is Lane. Preki hits the outside of the goalpost. And again, Slobo has to be alert up on the save.
Preki was off to the races. An excellent distribution pass by Dolan. He caught Preki on the full run in behind Redmond Lane. He came in, Lane pressuring him somewhat, but he still managed to get a shot into Slobo's near side, which hit the post and came out.
2-0 in favor of the Steamers. 10 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the opening quarter. Been an entertaining, wide-open game so far. Ball is loose in front. Poli Garcia couldn't control. Battle forward in the right corner. Tookshaw tries to come out. Foul was called on St. Louis. That'll be 4 now on the Steamers. No fouls so far on Tacoma.
Part of Tacoma's problem is they are missing one of their all-star defenders tonight, Neil Megson. He's been sitting out probably for precautionary reasons. He may have some nagging injury that they want him to allow to rest before the playoffs start.
Dolan out in front. Dolan dishes off for Tim Schultz. Schultz took it into the box, but Jungle blocked the shot. Daryl Durand for the Steamers in control. Durand a pass back. Zungel helped break that up as the ball rolled through to Dolan. Dolan's outlet pass again to Preki. Preki is all the way down into the St. Louis third, but that's a 3-line violation.
Also missing for the Tacoma Stars tonight is Ralph Black, another tough-nosed defender for them for years, one of the original members of this team. He's back in Washington in those meetings with the owners.
Kavanaugh, top of the arc. Tried to put a move on Sharp, tried to get it through for Bain. Sharp breaks that up. Off for Preki. Preki back for Sharp in midfield. Now Sharp for Preki. Broken up by Tim Schultz. Schultz will be called for the foul. That's 5 now against St. Louis. So the foul certainly going in Tacoma's favor.
That was certainly a meek foul considering Tim Schultz. He just stepped in front of Preki and took the ball. Preki kind of threw himself towards the boards, and the call was made almost solely on the fact that he made some noise when he made contact with those boards.
Preki to Sharp in the corner, marked by Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh broke it up, and back to midfield now is Boki Bandovich. Bandovich carrying into the Tacoma third. Bandovich off for John Bain. Bain on the right side tried to roll it back across through the box, and it was broken up by the Stars and sent back out to midfield. And Albert Adati.
The Steamers are just breaking more quickly than the Stars. It's the transition game in which they are ahead. The Stars, some of those guys just appear to be cruising a bit. They know they've got that 4th playoff spot locked up, and maybe they are thinking ahead to San Diego.
Boki Bandovich now on the right side, and Tacoma, and Tookshaw breaks that up with a nice tackle. Ahead now to Heel. Heel dribbles at midfield, surrounded by 3 Steamers, and finally drops it back for Sharp. Sharp for Heel, back for Sharp. Good give and go, but Sharp's shot goes wide. Kavanaugh controls.
Heel does very well with his back to the goal, and that one he took up a position in the arc and was able to dish the return pass on the give and go right in stride for Sharp.
Coker playing it back for Bain. At midfield, St. Louis controls. 8 minutes, 15 seconds to go here, first quarter, and it is 2-0 in favor of the St. Louis Steamers. Coker for Albert Adati. Adati directing traffic in midfield. The veteran defender Ken Fogarty. Fogarty, though, handed it right over to Bernie James. James drops it back for Bill Crook. Over for Charlie Falzone. Falzone brings it back out, hands it off now for Heel. It's Gary Heel dribbling in midfield for Bernie James. He is marked by Kevin Hundelt. Off for Carl Ward. Back out now to Crook. Crook for Falzone. Heel, marked by Fogarty. Tacoma deliberate at the moment on offense. Here's Peter Ward putting a move on. Adati stays right with him. Might have drawn a foul, but got away with it.
Nice tackle by Adati. He appeared to be out of the play, but he was able to reach in on a slide tackle and scoop the ball away.
Coker dribbles in midfield. Chris Kenny comes off the bench. Now Poli Garcia, wearing that familiar number 9. Off for Hundelt for Poli Garcia. Garcia for Steve Tritchew at midfield. Now Chris Kenny. Hundelt had some problems with Brecky. After a fast start, both clubs look a little more deliberate now.
Well, the Steamers not wanting to get too carried away going forward, and that making them susceptible to counterattacks have slowed their game down a bit, and Tacoma still trying to find their rhythm.
Brecky at midfield controls for the Tacoma Stars. 107 points. Brecky finds himself right in the mist, right at the top of the mist of a scoring race in the MISL. Peter Ward playing it back for Brecky. Taken away by Tritchew. Ivor Evans. And he was fouled by Falzone, who got a pretty good piece of the body. That'll be the first foul on Tacoma. St. Louis quickly puts it in play. Kevin Hundelt. Tritchew's shot goes wide. Hiram comes back out to midfield. Brecky trying to pull away from Chris Kenny. And sliding in is Tritchew to pick up the foul. And it'll be the 2-minute variety. And it will put Tacoma on the power play.
Tritchew catching Brecky from behind. Brecky was in on a breakaway on Slobo as he reacted very quickly to that counterattack. He was through and Tritchew took him down from behind in the 2 minutes. And on top of that, the Steamers already have 5 fouls, so they have to be very careful while they're killing this penalty to Tritchew that they don't also get the 6th foul and put themselves 2 men down.
This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Staring in at Slobo, who has his hands on his knees, has his head staring down towards the green carpet. We'll await the signal from senior referee Marty Teplin, and then Brecky will start advancing towards the goal. He'll have 5 seconds. Brecky is all set, right foot ahead of the left. Waiting for the signal from the officials. Slobo now with a head staring right at Brecky, and here we go. Brecky charges in, Slobo comes out, and Slobo gets a piece of it, but Brecky turns around and scores.
He still had 5 seconds, a full 5 seconds only. He'd only used a couple when Slobo knocked the ball to the side. Brecky reacting very quickly, though, on the rebound, whipping around.
Goals, rather, 55 assists and 108 points, one better than Eric Rasmussen. Brecky on the shootout at 8:48, and it's now the Steamers 2 and the Tacoma Stars 1. St. Louis still playing now with 5 team fouls. Tritchew, of course, has been released from the penalty box. Ball is in the Tacoma end. Stars trying to work it out. Boki Bandovich tries to keep it in. Bernie James by himself in the corner. Steve Zungel now at midfield. Zungel takes a dive, and Schultz will be called for the penalty.
He was grabbed momentarily by Schultz. As soon as he felt that little tug on his shirt, he went straight down to the turf. It probably was a foul, but Mr. Schultz together, he'll be one of the quarterbacks carrying the ball up the field. And he's also the one that's expected to assume some of the defensive responsibilities should they give up possession.
Coker will serve the penalty for St. Louis. Brecky now controls right inside the St. Louis third. Has some difficulty with Schultz. Zungel sends it back now towards the goalkeeper, Dolan, who's all the way back at his own red line. Jungle charges in, plays it to the left side of the goal for Ward. He scores! Peter Ward on the power play, and it's tied 2-2.
And Ward has done very well on the power play this year. That's his 12th power play goal of the season. And I want to correct myself. Earlier I said those 4 players were in the top 10. They are in the top 20. Actually 21. Peter Ward, the 21st leading scorer in the league. But with that goal, he may have moved up. So that'll still put him just behind his teammate Gary Heel. But well-executed turn and shot by Ward. He was in close on Slobo, but not at a great angle, but he was able to turn very quickly and place the ball very well into the upper corner as he was turning, and that's what fooled Slobo.
So it's the Steamers 2 and the Stars 2. 5 minutes, 18 seconds to go here first quarter. Both teams now at full strength. Boki Bandovic sliding out was Dolan to knock it away. A nice move by Fogarty. Scores! Ken Fogarty. And it's 3-2 Steamers. We've got a wild one going tonight at the arena.
This is great because the teams are attacking with abandon, and I think that is a function really of what we talked about earlier in terms of not much pressure out here on the field in terms of the outcome of this game. So the players are wheeling and dealing a bit, and that's what Fogarty did there. He was at the right corner of the box, and he had a chance to shoot with his left. Instead, he cut the ball back to his right, but he took himself to a worse angle, but he caught up with the ball, was able to cut it back hard and low, and he put it just past an outstretched leg of Joe Waters, which may have screened the Tacoma goalkeeper and made it just inside the far post.
The Steamers have the lead again, 3-2. Here comes Joe Waters back. He hit the goal post. Back the other way is Bain to midfield. Screws will break that up.
It's been a long season, and I think a lot of players are tired of defending. They just don't feel like doing it tonight, so they're all going forward and they're going to the goal.
And the crowd will be the beneficiary as Bain now starts the St. Louis attack, moves in. Bain is shot, and Dolan got a piece of that at the last minute. Dolan's outlet pass comes out to midfield for Preki. Preki tried to put a move on Adati. Slobo Ilijevski well out of the goal. He's battling Preki along the boards, and Slobo finally clears down in front of the Tacoma bench. 4 minutes and 20 seconds remain. Ball went into the bench. The ball will belong, I believe, to the Tacoma Stars. With 4:20 left here, an exciting first quarter. The Steamers lead the Stars 3-2. Joe Waters all set to put the ball in play right out in front of the Tacoma playing bench. Regular goaltender for Tacoma, Mike Dowler, not playing tonight. They're resting him for the playoffs. Instead, Paul Dolan getting the starting call.
And Dolan, not one of the more experienced goalkeepers in the league by any means. This is only his 10th game he's playing in this season, and a couple of those were not even starts. Those were ones he came in for when Dowler had some minor injuries. But Dowler leads the league in starts in games played, 51. That's a real Iron Man effort there.
Ritchie at midfield for the Steamers. Off now for Redmond Lane, who will bring it into the Tacoma end. In a race there with Waters. Karam's come back to Bain. He hit the goalpost. Bain rang one off the pipe. Ritchie takes a shot.
That one hit the corner of the post and still came out.
Boy, it has been an entertaining first quarter here at the arena. The Steamers and the Tacoma Stars look like a couple puppies out there with their ears back. They're just really having fun. This is St. Louis Steamers. Bob Kurtz, Ty Keogh back with you here at the arena in St. Louis, 3-2 in favor of the Steamers. Evans getting it out in front and just putting it over the top of the glass is Coker. Sliding out was Paul Dolan, and Coker popped it over Dolan, over the crossbar, and just over the glass and into the crowd.
And Coker was in the open by himself. No Tacoma Stars within several yards of him. The ball by Evans from the corner did have a bit of a strange hop on it, and it caused Coker to get under it and send it high over the glass. But boy, that was a golden opportunity that he was not able to take advantage of.
Golden opportunity after golden opportunity. 5 goals in as the Steamers lead the Stars 3-2. 3 minutes and 10 seconds still remain here in the first quarter. Paul Dolan's outlet pass for Heel is broken up by Chris Kenny at midfield. Kenny getting it ahead to Evans. Evans charging into the Tacoma end. Puts a couple of moves on. Finally stops right at the top of the box and plays it back out. Kevin Hundelt back out for Steve Tritchue at midfield. Pass goes to Ken Fogarty. Fogarty finding Coker. Coker return pass for Fogarty, saved by Dolan. As Fogarty's shot came from a wide angle on the right side. Back out to midfield now. Peter Ward playing it ahead for Gary Heel. Broken up there by Fogarty. Fogarty by himself in the corner. Will have an easy time bringing it back out for St. Louis to Kevin Hundelt with 2:20 remaining in the first quarter. Tim Schultz now for St. Louis. Little pass for Daryl Duran at midfield. Duran sends it down in the right corner in the Tacoma end. For Garcia, back for Duran. Zungul stepped between them. Zungul now back out to midfield. Pass goes ahead for Heel. Fogarty back to break it up and plays it through on the goal. And Slobo now for St. Louis. Gets it off for Daryl Duran. Duran comes back out to midfield with it. We've played better than 13 minutes of the first quarter. 3-2 Steamers. Duran, a nifty move, a shot, and Dolan the save.
Duran is always with the quick feet, the fancy footwork. Got himself just enough space to drill a shot in, and Dolan went down hard to come up with the save.
Dolan has been a mighty busy lad here in the first quarter. Steamers have enjoyed a 3-2 lead. They've enjoyed the better of the action, too, as Duran now getting it over for Tim Schultz. Back for Boki Bandovic. Bandovic for Duran. Back for Boki Bandovic. Jungle, I believe, might be called for pushing there. That'll be the third foul. Second foul or the third foul on Tacoma. Daryl Duran playing it. They try to return pass, but Jungle broke that up and sent it back out to midfield with 1:18 now remaining here in the quarter. Slobo Ilijevski. Ilijevski booms it back to midfield again. It was headed there by James into the crowd, and let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Bob Kurtz filling in for John Paul Delacamera along with Ty Keogh here at the arena in St. Louis. Minute 5 to go first quarter. It is 3-2 in favor of the Steamers. Paul Dolan makes the save and rolls it out now to Preki. Preki dribbles out to midfield. Schultz takes it away. Daryl Duran battles Preki. Nice move by Duran. Moves in on Waters. Another move by Duran. Waters, though, gets a piece of it as he blocked it. Ball rolls through to Dolan, and Dolan outlets to Preki. Preki at midfield. Coker takes it away, but handed it right to Tuksha. Tuksha now dribbling at midfield. Approaching the St. Louis third. Plays it down now for Sharp. Sharp back for Tuksha. Tuksha tries to find Waters on the far side. Coker over to break that up. Coker picks up the... Wasn't Coker, it was Waters that picked up the foul, and that'll be 4 on Tacoma. But just 28 seconds left here in the quarter. Kavanaugh for Albert Adati. Back now for Slobo in the goal. Out for Daryl Duran. 20 seconds remain in the quarter. Daryl Duran at midfield. Redmond Lane. Lane operating on the left side in the Tacoma zone. Sends it back for Daryl Duran. Duran trying to put a move on. 7 seconds remaining. Kavanaugh in the corner. Sharp is right with him. Kavanaugh turns around. 2 seconds to go. Kavanaugh shoots. And it's wide as the horn sounds. And that is the end of the first quarter of play. With a score, the St. Louis Steamers 3 and the Tacoma Stars 2. This is St. Louis Steamers soccer.
Indoor soccer as the players are going forward with abandon, and the players are not defending with much conscientiousness. They're pretty much out here to have some fun.
Yeah, I think if you're Mike Dowler and you're sitting on the bench, you're thinking, this is one I want to sit out.
Thank God I'm not in there, because he leads the league in shots saved as well, and shots faced.
Kind of game the goalkeeper just as who wouldn't be part of. It's entertaining for the fans. It drives coaches and goaltenders nuts. Right off the bat, a big shot by Poli Garcia, and again Dolan has to come up with a save as Garcia drilled it right at him. Evans operating on the left side, carries to the corner, played it out in front, and that was kicked out of there by James, off for Preki. Preki taken away by Poli Garcia. Garcia's shot goes wide. And the carom comes off to Preki as Tacoma trying to get it out of their own third of the field. They finally do to midfield. Foul zone charging into the St. Louis third. And Albert Adati gets a piece of it as it deflects into the crowd.
Looks like a shooting gallery out there. The Steamers again in that last assault on the Tacoma goal had 3 or 4 consecutive shots. Everybody's not hesitating. They're laying right into the ball, trying to get those shots on goal to test Dolan for one. As I mentioned, he's not very experienced.
Nice way, too, for the Steamers to close out the year at home, send the fans home with at least some fond remembrances of the final home game. Final game for the Steamers comes up tomorrow in Chicago, and I'd imagine we'll probably have more of the same.
Exactly. The players are out there. Some of them are out to pad their stats as well because this is the end of the season for them, and they got to think about next year. The higher their numbers are, the better chance of them signing a contract next year.
Evan Hundelt gets it back out to midfield again, charging after it is foul zone, playing it back to his own keeper, and that's Paul Dolan. Dolan kicks it to midfield, headed there and picked off by Hundelt. Evan Hundelt for St. Louis. For Trichu, up now for Boki Bandovic. Bandovic battling. Bandovic was grabbed there by Billy Crook, and a foul is called on Tacoma. That's their first or their second. Second, according to Ty.
I think so, unless they put that up very quickly. There it is.
You're right. You're always right, Ty.
I'm tired of it.
2-team fouls on Tacoma here already in the second quarter, as St. Louis has dominated more in the second quarter than they have in the first. Paul Dolan giving the ball off now to Bernie James. James for the Stars.
Although at this point, the Steamers in the first quarter, at this point, they already had 2 goals just about. So they've had chances here in the second quarter, but they finished their chances very early in the first quarter.
Dolan getting it off for foul zone. Foul zone being watched by Coker. His outlet pass was picked off by Hundelt. Off for Coker. Takes the shot quickly, and making the save was Dolan. Coker with an excellent chance. Now Trichu takes a bomb. That one goes wide from a long way out. Foul zone. Tied up over there by Fogarty. Hundelt gets it loose. Hundelt shot. Ricochet off the glass. Now comes back out for Redmond Lane. A bad angle in the corner, but tried to play the carom intended for Coker, but that was broken up. It comes back out to midfield again. Steve Trichu. Trichu is battling in there. Trichu dribbles at midfield away from Jungle. Gets it ahead now for Coker. Coker is watched by Falzone. Back for Fogarty, who gets it by Preki. Off for Daryl Duran. Jungle giving Duran some problems, marking him pretty closely out in front of the St. Louis bench. The ball comes free. Slide there by Duran. A sliding tackle knocks it away from Falzone, but Duran will pick up a foul.
He's called for the dangerous play because he slid from a long distance away with his leg stiff and caught the ball at the bottom of his foot, which is very dangerous to the other player coming in on the tackle.
So the ball will belong to Tacoma. They play it down towards the St. Louis third of the field. Sharp tries to work free. Sharp is being marked real closely in there by Kavanaugh, who did a nice job and got away with it. Off now for Trichu, who leads the offensive charge. Dolan makes a sliding save on a shot that was going wide from Trichu at center field, and now charging back is Healy the other way. Heel in the corner, watched by Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh stays right with Heel. Heel turns around, tried to lose him, couldn't do it. Karam was broken up by Poli Garcia on the pass intended for Waters. St. Louis right now playing very well defensively as well as offensively.
They're playing with more intensity than the Tacoma Stars are. The Steamers playing more for pride. The Tacoma Stars looking forward to the playoffs against San Diego.
Kavanaugh at the top of the arc, playing it across for Evans. Evans tried to work free but was bothered by Ward. 11.5 minutes to go until halftime. St. Louis with a 3-2 lead over the Tacoma Stars. John Bain. Bain playing it off for Garcia. Garcia turned on Tukshu, but Tukshu picked up the foul. That's 3. St. Louis putting the ball back in play quickly. Bain finds Chris Kenny. Second quarter has been played pretty much in the Tacoma third. No goals as of yet. St. Louis still with a 3-2 lead that they had at the end of the first quarter. Foul on Tacoma again. That's 4. St. Louis again will put the ball in play. They don't have the goals they had to show for early in the first quarter, but they definitely are dominating the action as Chris Kenny now playing it. Kenny back out to midfield. Boki Bandovic right out in front of the Steamer bench. Boki Bandovic over for John Bain. Bain back for Garcia, all alone in front. Couldn't control the bouncing ball, which finally bounced into the goalkeeper, Dolan.
He didn't miss by much. A good play by Bain to put that ball down into the box on his first touch after Bandovic has sent the long pass into him. Garcia nearly there, but Dolan snatched it away at the last second.
Foul this time is called on St. Louis. That'll be 2 now on the Steamers. 10 minutes, 43 seconds to go, second quarter. St. Louis with a 3-2 lead over Tacoma. Final home game of the year here at the arena for the Steamers. Albert Adati in his own third sends it out to midfield. Waters breaks it up for Tacoma. Now for Peter Ward. Ward playing it down for Heel. Back for Waters. Taken away by Adati. Adati gets it off to Coker. Coker pass down the right side for Bain. Bain and Bandovich 2-on-1. Bain, a shot hit the goalpost.
And after it hit the goalpost, it hit the back of Dolan, and a lot of times you'll see those end up in the back of the net. But a bit lucky play by Dolan as it popped out in front of him, and he was able to grab it.
Right back to the attack. Here comes Boki Bandovich with a shot that goes wide. Finally played by Dolan. He has been busy.
He's looked sharper as we've gone along. He's bound to. Just all that action in front of him, just to survive, he's going to have to play a little bit better than he did in the early going. He seemed to be a bit rusty. He hasn't played that much this year. Now, as the Steamers have been testing him in the second quarter, he's come up with some more quality saves.
Fogarty was called for a foul. Ball belongs now to Tacoma. Fouls are 4 for Tacoma and 3 for St. Louis here in the second quarter. Jungle playing it for Preki, who's marked there by Adati. Preki getting it back to Jungle at midfield. Jungle finding Waters. Waters back to Tuksha. Over now to Preki. Preki's been quiet except for the shootout. He does have a goal on a shootout. As charging back the other way, Redmond Lane after breaking it up. Lane trying to put a move on. Tuksha hits the goalpost again.
And he had Dolan beaten. A very quick shot by Redmond Lane with the outside of his left foot as he got Tuksha to lean a bit at first, set him up as a screen, and hammered the ball almost like a toe poke. Dolan reacted late, but the ball caught the post.
St. Louis has had about 5 posts, 3 goals of dominated play. Ball comes through to Dolan, who clears to Tuksha again at midfield. Over for Waters, and Waters had to handle the bouncing ball to beat Durant to it, and just kicked it and sailed into the crowd. This is St. Louis Steamers soccer. Back to the action here at the arena. 8 minutes and 50 seconds remain in the second quarter. And the St. Louis Steamers have a 3-2, almost a 4-2 lead as we talk, as Durant's left footer almost got past Dolan.
Durant was about 45 feet out, cracked a curling shot that Dolan dove for, but then Dolan made the save, but he didn't hold the ball. He continued to bobble it, so he's still not settled in terms of making secure saves.
Dolan called for a tripping foul there on Davis. That'll even the fouls now at 4 aside here in the second quarter. Been a very entertaining game. Major Indoor Soccer League featuring the St. Louis Steamers and the Tacoma Stars, and it's interesting to talk about what's going on in the field, although we'll go back to the boardroom activities at halftime. Here comes Tritchu sailing in, and Dolan knocked that away. Tony Bellinger will be talking with Ty Keogh during our halftime intermission, bringing us up to date on what is or what is not happening in Washington and St. Louis Steamer point of view. And of course the Steamers have a couple of problems. The league #1 plus their own financial difficulties #2. Right now they can concentrate on soccer, and they have a 3-2 lead over Tacoma. 7:45 to go first half. John Bain at midfield. John Bain for the St. Louis Steamers carries into the Tacoma end. Bain playing it back out now to Kavanaugh, who'll bring it back across the red line. Kavanaugh, left footer, rips wide. Here comes back for Tim Schultz. Schultz getting in for Boki Bandovich. Bandovich on the right side. Tries to put a move on Steve Sharp, who doesn't go for it. Plays it back for Tim Schultz. Now Tim Schultz. He controls. To John Bain. Back for Tim Schultz. Schultz for the Steamers. Drops it off for Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh being marked by the former Steamer Falzone. Foley Garcia. Off for Boki Bandovich. Steamers in the controlled offense. Bandovich ripped one off the glass out on top of Dolan, who finally grabs the ball to the box and outlets it to midfield. Here's Preki down the right side. Preki putting a move on Schultz. Preki is loose. It's blocked by Kavanaugh. Preki gets it again, and Preki is called for a handball.
Dolan has not done so well in terms of stopping shots, as he's given up 3 goals, and he gave them up very early, but I'm very impressed with the distribution, his ability to launch passes with his arm all the way up to Preki. Preki, again, on a breakaway, going through the Steamer defense.
Here's Preki at another breakaway. All alone is Preki. He hits the goalpost. And Adati almost knocked it in the goal. And then almost lost it in the box area to Preki, but finally gets it over to Kavanaugh. Back to Slobo and out to Adati.
Albert hustling back as best he could. He almost got in the way of the rebound. Slobo did very well to cut the angle on Preki, forcing Preki to shoot wide.
St. Louis back. A big left-footed bomb by Boki Bandovic slams off the glass at the top of the goal. Back on the attack now comes Preki for Tacoma. Dribbling in the St. Louis third. Preki. This one you forget about him. There he is. You don't forget about him long, do you? Out of nowhere. Turning is Ward. He scores! Ward right at the left corner of the box. Made a nice turn and blasted his second goal of the night. His 35th of the year, and the game is tied at 3. This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Bob Kurtz and Ty Keogh back here at the arena.
Jungle made his name at as well years back. What it really is when a player has that type of offensive capabilities, it's really a weapon because he's going to score on such a high percentage of those chances that he does get that it's worth the gamble that his teammates have to play ineffective.
Steamers 3, Stars 3. The scoring race, by the way, finds Preki on top. Preki has picked up his 53rd goal of the season on a shootout tonight. 53 goals, 55 assists for Preki, 108 points, one better than Eric Rasmussen of Wichita. Back to the action now. Chris Kenny controls for St. Louis in the Tacoma third. Kenny tries to put a move on Jungle. St. Louis still in control as it comes back out to midfield now to Trichu. Over for Redmond Lane. Lane for Trichu. 5.5 minutes to go until halftime. We're tied at 3. Kevin Hundelt right along the red line brings it now into the Tacoma third. Off for Chris Kenny down in the corner. Intended for Lane. That was broken up. Kenny gets it back again and plays it for Hundelt. Trichu back to the corner again. Turning is Lane. Blocked by Tukshu. Down is Lane, still nothing called as it's picked up by Hundelt. Hundelt puts a nifty move on. Still trying to control. Finally, the ball rolled through, and an easy save finally for Dolan. But Trichu was right in the middle of 4 Tacoma Stars and still managed to get something out of it.
So nice moves. He walked right past the first two. The third one, Gary Heel was able to scoop the ball away, though.
Redmond Lane controlling in his own third. Playing it back for Steve Trichu. Trichu out for Evans. Evans along the red line turns and then brings it back out to midfield. Off for Steve Trichu. 4.5 minutes left in the half. Trichu washed by Heel. Off for Poli Garcia. Garcia down to the corner. Sliding is Dolan to get the ball on the carom. Outlets for Jungle.
The Steamers can keep possession and go to goal. They could try and draw that 6th foul as Tacoma already has 5.
Waters. Out to Preki at midfield, broken up by Fogarty, and now played by Coker. Coker for Daryl Duran. Now Duran for the Steamers. Picked up by Ricky Davis along the far boards, off for Poli Garcia. Garcia is marked by Waters for Duran. Duran had it picked off, though, by Waters. Waters hit Duran with the outlet pass, and it goes right to Coker, off for Garcia, but a nice sliding save there by Joe Waters, knocked the ball away from Garcia.
And Garcia was already deciding which corner he was going to shoot at because he was right at the top of the arc there with some time, and Waters slid through to swipe it away at the last minute.
Jungle breaks it up. Coker got it free. Tuksha tried to clear. Fogarty had it finally broken up by Ricky Davis, who will lead the offensive charge now for Tacoma. Ricky Davis with Jungle. Jungle's alone on the right side. In he goes. A sliding save, though, as it was knocked away by the captain, Tim Schultz, who snuck back behind Slobo.
And Tim Schultz at the right place at the right time there as Jungle tried to put the ball to the far post of Preki, but Schultz cleared it away.
Duran off for Kavanaugh. He scores! And the Steamers take the lead again, 4-3.
A nice overlapping run by Kavanaugh. He came down the left side as Duran was controlling the ball. He got into position. Duran dished it sideways to him, and he ripped that heavy left foot and hit the ball very hard like a rocket. It was taking off still as it caught the top of the net over the top of Dolan's outstretched left hand.
4-3 St. Louis. This is St. Louis Steamers soccer. Dolan in the goal now for Tacoma. He's been busy. Outlets it to midfield. It's 4-3 Steamers. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go until halftime. Here comes Evans as the Steamers reload again. Boki Bandovich in the corner. Bandovich being marked there by Billy Crook. Pass was picked off by Sharp. Sharp brings it back out to midfield. Sharp finds Preki. Preki dribbles against Adati as he moves into the St. Louis third. Gets it over for Sharp, who pushes it wide. On a nice setup from Preki. Much Slobo could do except cut the angle down, but now St. Louis back again with Adati. Adati carries in. Adati drops it off, and Dolan has to make a save that time on Boki Bandovich. Back to midfield, controlled by Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh just scored his 4th goal of the year. Durand got an assist on that as we now have 2 minutes to go until halftime. Here's Albert Adati. Albert Adati getting it over for Bain. Bain sliding down along with Dolan, who knocked it away.
That was a well thought out pass by Adati because he saw Bain streaking through, and the pass beat 3 players, and had Bain been able to connect with it, he would have had an easy goal.
In the St. Louis third now, it comes through to Slobo Ilijevski in the goal. Slobo getting it off for Redmond Lane. Lane watched by Peter Ward, off for Albert Adati, back now for Slobo, off for Lane, across for Boki Bandovich. Kavanaugh at midfield. Kavanaugh has it broken up by Homer Screws. Now back in the corner. Off there for James. James to the keeper Dolan. Back now for James. Marked by Kevin Hundelt. Dolan in the goal. Dolan boots it out to midfield. Trittshaw sends it right back in with 1:02 to play until halftime. Minute to go until halftime. Who is the foul on? I believe it's on Tritshu. That'll even him up at 5 aside with 57 seconds to go until halftime. So both clubs will have to be careful here in the final 57 seconds of the half.
Right, which should open it up for both clubs' attacking players to be able to go to goal, because the defenders are going to be afraid to cause that 6th foul.
Tacoma puts the ball in the crowd. And let's pause 10 seconds now for station identification. This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Bob Kurtz, Ty Keogh with you from the arena. Steamers 3 and the Tacoma Stars 3. Final home game of the 87-88 campaign for St. Louis. Lots of soccer news. Tony Bellinger will be joining Ty Keogh at halftime to talk about a lot of the developments of the soccer news here in St. Louis and from around the major indoor soccer league. And there's lots to talk about as Durand, watched by Screws, carries into the Tacoma third. Durand, who scored an overtime goal to beat Tacoma here earlier this year, the shot of the year in the major indoor soccer league. Losing it finally as Peter Ward controls. Ward getting it off for Crook, back for Ward. Out of the goal is Slobo to clear it away with 20 seconds remaining in the half. Finally rolls all the way through, back the other way to the keeper Dolan. Dolan outlets it to midfield. Peter Ward, who has 2 goals, his 34th and 35th of the year, takes a shot from midfield on the carom. Slobo outlets it to midfield. Just 3 seconds left, and the ball is knocked loose as the first half comes to an end here at the arena. With a score, the Steamers 4, the Stars 3. This is St. Louis Steamers soccer. Right now, 4 for the Steamers and 3 for the Stars, as we get ready to get underway with the second half kickoff, which will belong to Tacoma. 4,839 on hand tonight here at the arena as we're underway now in the third quarter. Tacoma controlling with Preki bringing it in. Preki off for Ward, turns against Fogarty and plays it back out for Preki, who has scored his 53rd goal of the season tonight. Ward Marked by Fogarty, who worked it loose in the corner. Taken away, though, by Preki, and getting a ham and a bomb by Preki was Slobo Ilijevski.
And that's Slobo's best save of the night, as Preki severely tested him with the shot that was drilled low and hard for the far post. Slobo stretched himself out, got that lower hand on it to knock it wide.
Daryl Duran now controls for the Steamers, dribbles at midfield. Tried to roll a pass that he hoped would free Garcia, but it was a little bit too far. Rolled to Dolan in the goal. Dolan now off for Ward at midfield. Plays it for Waters. Now it's controlled by Preki along the right boards. Moving at midfield, pass Duran, explodes down into the St. Louis zone, but Fogarty broke up the pass, off for Poli Garcia, and right back to midfield come the Steamers. Boki Bandovic takes the pass. Bandovic scores! Boki Bandovic fires a shot that beats Dolan on the far side, and 1:03 into the third quarter, it's 5-3 St. Louis.
And Boki has his third point of the night on 2 goals and 1 assist, and he really made that opportunity for himself because it was a great run by him out of the midfield. He burst ahead of his defender. Garcia saw it, placed the ball into the space out in front of that defender. Boki took the ball then with the left foot and just hammered it low and hard across the grain towards the far post, beating Dolan low.
So Boki Bandovic's second goal of the night, and the Steamers have a 2-goal advantage, 5-3.
But again, it's the run off the ball that sets the play going, because Garcia wasn't sure what he was going to do with the ball until he saw Boki break into the space there.
Right back comes Tacoma. They score! A bomb by Billy Crook goes over the top of the goalkeeper, Slobo Ilijevski, just under the crossbar, and it's 5-4. That comes at 1:14 or 11 seconds after the goal by Bandovic.
Well, we've seen this happen to the Steamers quite a bit this year, and sometimes it was the difference between winning and losing. It was one of the things that really brought their season down is the fact that after they would score goals and appear to have some momentum, they would immediately give one up and turn the game back around upon themselves again. So here they've lost a bit of concentration, and Tacoma Stars come right back to keep it within 1 goal.
Steamers 5, Stars 4. Steamers controlled off the kickoff. It's John Bain at his own red line getting it off for Trichu, and a foul was called away from the ball apparently on Tacoma. That'll be the first now on the Stars here in the second half. First in the third quarter is Kavanaugh now controls. Kavanaugh sends it to the corner. Kavanaugh takes the return pass from Evans. Kavanaugh has a goal tonight for St. Louis. Off for Bain for Trichu at midfield. Now for Boki Bandovic, who's marked by Bernie James. Boki Bandovic carries to the corner, plays the carom, but it's broken up by Jungle. Jungle getting it out for Heel. Now Gary Heel dribbling in midfield, watched by Evans. Heel still controls for Tacoma, hands off for Billy Crook. Now Crook for Preki as we approach the 2-minute mark of the third quarter. Steamers 5 and the Stars 4. Jungle takes the pass at the top of the arc, marked by Kavanaugh, plays it back now for Billy Crook. For Jungle again, now he's moved into the corner, off for Crook, operating on the left side, back to midfield. Screws plays it in for Jungle, who tried to turn, failed to do so, but still controls, plays it out for Preki. Preki was marked by Trichu. Screws marked by Bain, broken up by Kavanaugh in the box. And Kavanaugh now for the Steamers will dribble out to midfield. Kavanaugh approaching the Stars line, brings it into the Tacoma zone. Off for Adati, back out now for Trichu at midfield for Kevin Hundelt. Hundelt for St. Louis. Hundelt takes the long shot. That was blocked that time by Steve Sharp. Back to midfield. Trichu reloads. Plays it in the corner for Hundelt. Watched by Sharp. They both go crashing in. And the foul will go apparently against Sharp. That'll be the second on Tacoma here in the second half and in the third quarter.
And Kevin Hundelt learning very quickly how to take dives, because on that particular play, he just got good positioning on Sharp, and then when he felt the contact, he went straight over the ball, went down very hard, and he was able to cause the referee to call the foul.
Evans bombed one on the in-pass, off for Chris Kenny now, and the carom. Kenny controls out in midfield. Kenny is marked by Homer Screws, drops it off now for Albert Adati. Adati heading it up for Hundelt. Hundelt had it taken away with a collision there with Falzone, and Falzone picks up the foul. That's 3 now on Tacoma here, third quarter. On the restart, ball belongs to St. Louis, all for Adati. Adati getting it for Hundelt. Hundelt sends it over for Chris Kenny. Kenny's pass was broken up by Crook, off for Charlie Falzone. Falzone gets it for Preki at the red line. Preki dribbles at midfield, sends a long pass now down for Steve Sharp in the left corner in the St. Louis zone. Sharp is being marked closely along the boards by Adati. Sharp still trying to work it free. Adati called for the foul first on St. Louis third quarter. So the fouls stand 3 for Tacoma, 1 for the Steamers. Preki has the ball in midfield. Knocked away from Preki, but Bernie James controls, gets it off for Tuksha. Now up for Falzone, knocked away from him, but Tuksha covers up as we approach the 4-minute mark of the third quarter. 5 for St. Louis, 4 for Tacoma. Preki losing it there to Kevin Hundelt. Hundelt charging down for the Steamers. Hundelt plays it in the corner. Redmond Lane goes crashing after he was tripped by Tuksha, but nothing is called. Charlie Falzone controls in the box. Falzone controls in his own third.
And things have settled down a bit again. The team's not taking the shots that they were taking even earlier in this quarter, as they already came up with 2 goals this quarter.
Ball belongs to Tacoma. Joe Waters has it broken up as Garcia got it loose, but in turn Waters sends it back out to midfield. Fogarty only goes flying. They're letting a lot of contact go as charging through, leading the 2-on-1 is Peter Ward. Ward is in, tries to play it back across for Preki, but it's broken up on a brilliant defensive play by Ken Fogarty.
Ken Fogarty was there where he needed to be. He followed the play all the way back. He was originally beat at the red line by Ward, recovered well, and was there to save the day.
Back now comes Daryl Duran as he loads up in the Tacoma third. Daryl Duran wearing number 7 for St. Louis, getting it off for Schultz. Now for Boki Bandovich, who's going for the hat trick, but Tuksha knocked the ball loose. Preki controls. Preki handed it right for Poli Garcia. Back for Duran. Duran works it for Garcia. Right side of the box. Back across to Boki Bandovich. He scores! Boki Bandovich has the hat trick, and St. Louis leads 6-4.
And some fine combination play exhibited by the Steamers as Duran slid the ball through to Garcia. Garcia, as he turned, caught a glimpse of Boki Bandovich, who was racing for the far post. He flipped the ball across the goal mouth. Bandovich got there just barely as he was trying to get through to the open space and was able to just touch the ball with the outside of his right foot to beat Dolan at the far post.
Oh, the field is littered with hats as Boki Bandovich has the hat trick, and the Steamers lead the Stars 6-4. This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Bob Kurtz and Ty Keogh with you here from the arena. Steamers are closing it out in style tonight as they have a 6-4 lead over Tacoma with 9:40 to go, third quarter.
And Boki Bandovich is one hot player, 4 points tonight.
Preki going after the scoring title. He has scored on a shootout, just narrowly missed a second goal. Has 108 points now to lead the Major Indoor Soccer League, but it's been Boki Bandovich who has put on the big show tonight for the crowd of 4,839 at the arena. Daryl Durand at midfield had it knocked loose. It's controlled finally there by Falzone. For Tacoma, off for James in his own third. Finds Billy Crook. Back now for Bernie James to see Jungle. Jungle comes out to midfield, plays it down into the St. Louis third, where the ball goes into the crowd, I think off of a St. Louis player, Schultz, so the ball belonged to Tacoma.
And a few words passing back and forth between Gary Heel and Tim Schultz. Some contact made there as Schultz made the clearance over the glass. They've been known to tussle a bit.
9:09 to go in the third quarter. Steamers lead by 2. Billy Crook for Tacoma for Bernie James, marked by Evans. Back to midfield again. It's controlled by Crook, getting it off for Charlie Falzone. Back to his keeper, Paul Dolan. Ball Dolan lifts it in the air, out to center, broken up there by Evans. Evans charges in. Evans gets it off now for Garcia in the corner. Played back out for Schultz. Schultz gets it across for Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh down the left side with a shot. That was blocked, and the Karam plays back for Schultz in midfield. 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go, third quarter. A 2-1 quarter for the Steamers, 6-4 on the game for St. Louis. Kavanaugh now. Kavanaugh on the left side against Charlie Falzone. Over for Poli Garcia. Played the Karam, and it's broken up by Steve Jungle, intended for Kavanaugh. Now charging back is Falzone, but Evans hustles back to take the ball away.
Some great hustle by the little forward. Falzone thought he was all the way through on a 2-on-1 with Jungle, but Ivor Evans tracked back and stole the ball from him.
Steve Tritchew controls. Over for Chris Kenny. Back for Steve Tritchew. Redmond Lane still with a cast on his right hand. Plays it for Poli Garcia. Off now for John Bain as play moves into the Tacoma third. In the corner now, Poli Garcia, the left corner, playing it back out for Chris Kenny. Tritchew controls in midfield again. Tritchew right back in that left corner. Redmond Lane being marked there by Joe Waters. Plays it back for Chris Kenny. Chris Kenny, a shot. And getting a piece of that is the goalkeeper, Dolan. And he deflects it over the glass and into the crowd.
A lot of power on that shot by Kenny. He was able to take the big windup, but Dolan was up to it. Long, and he's become a factor in this latter stage of the season in terms of showing some promise with his offensive capabilities.
Well, the hat trick for Boki Bandovic tonight as we get ready to resume play. 7 minutes and 32 seconds. A corner kick for St. Louis. Hundell plays it across, and a header by Tritchew almost beats Dolan.
That's one the Steamers have been working on for some time. The two rookies combining on the restart from the corner. Hundell lifting a pretty ball over to the far post, and Tritchew's so good in the air. He was up there hanging well above any Tacoma defenders, was able to head the ball down towards the goal. It beat Dolan, but then it bounced up off the crossbar, then back off of Tritchew and over the glass.
Joe Waters now for Tacoma in his own third. Getting it over for Tuksha. Tuksha sends it out to midfield. Ball goes into the crowd, and let's pause 10 seconds now for station identification. This is St. Louis Steamer Soccer. Steamers 6, the Stars 4. 7 minutes and 15 seconds remain in the third quarter. Been a very entertaining game. All alone is Fogarty out in front of his keeper, Slobo, and he gives the ball off as the Steamers come charging back. Back down to Dolan on the other end. Dolan makes the save, outlets it to midfield for Preki. Preki watched by Fogarty again. Fogarty gets it away and plays it back for Redmond Lane. Over for Albert Adati, off for Daryl Duran at midfield. Duran playing it down for Boki Bandovic, now going for 4. Boki circles in the corner, marked by Tuksha. Gets it back out for Daryl Duran. Duran finds Fogarty. Fogarty has his shot deflect off a body, and it's gloved or grabbed there by Dolan.
And again, Boki working very hard when he doesn't have the ball, trying to get into the open so that the other players can get the ball through to him.
Tuksha sending it out now to midfield for Falzone, but Falzone hands it right for Daryl Duran. Duran spins away from Ward, bothered by Preki, and has to play it back in his own end of the field. Slobo Ilijevski comes out deep into the corner, gets it across for Albert Adati. Now back for Slobo Ilijevski.
I'll tell you what, one guy that's got to really regret not being able to play in this game is Steamer midfielder Jerry Gray, a former Tacoma star, missing out on all the fun here with all the goals.
Boki Bandovic played the Karam in the corner. Duran picks it up, brings it back inside the red line again, drills one, and Dolan has to stop that one.
And Gray missing the game because of injury. He has a bone spur in his foot, which has been aggravating him for the last week or so.
Here come the Steamers again. Daryl Duran loading up on the left side of the box. Duran puts a move on Ward. Ward, though, does a nice job to stay with him, blocks it, and Duran will play it back to midfield again. Albert Adati getting it over for Boki Bandovic. Bandovic for the Steamers. Bothered there and had the play finally broken up by Crook. Comes in the box, pops free. Goaltender grabs it, Dolan, and Dolan hands it off now for Waters.
And those are easy ones for Dolan. He's a big fella. He's 6'3", 195. He's able to command any of those high balls that come into the box.
Billy Crook controls the midfield for Tacoma. Off for Homer Screw. Screws plays it down, headed out of there by Coker. Controlled again by Preki, standing right along the red line. Now Preki. Tried to play it into the St. Louis third, but John Bain broke it up. Bain getting it off now for Evans. Eber Evans handing off for Bain. Bain top of the arc for Evans. Evans puts a spin on Screws, plays it back. It comes for Coker. Coker takes a shot. That was knocked away. Evans plays it back out. Now it comes over for Tim Schultz. Third quarter has belonged to St. Louis, as has much of the game. Actually, the way the Steamers have dominated action, they deserve better than the 6-4, but they're up.
You're right. They've outplayed Tacoma in almost every facet of the game, and to be fair, with the amount of opportunities that they had, they probably should be up by at least 4 goals.
I was thinking this is about an 8-4, 9-4, 10-4 game.
Yep. But you can never count Tacoma out because they do have the type of players that can score them in bundles. A player like Brecky, Jungle, and Heel and Peter Ward, they're dangerous at any time.
Chris Kenny with a shot. Dolan made the save, and here come the Stars back the other way with Jungle. Jungle in midfield. Losing it, but covering up is Crook off for Brecky. 3:45 remaining third quarter. 6-4 St. Louis. Brecky's shot was blocked by Schultz. And back to midfield again. Bernie James. Bernie James plays it for Steve Jungle in the corner. Jungle marked by Bain. Oli Garcia comes in. Bernie James chases the ball loose along the boards. Now it's Bernie James playing it across for Billy Crook. Billy Crook just inside the red line of the St. Louis third. Headed away by Schultz. Comes for Brecky. That was blocked by Schultz. Off for Coker. Coker for Bain. Broken up there by Crook in midfield, and Crook will have to send it back in his own third of the field. And Bernie James goes back to play it for Tacoma. Back for Jungle in midfield. Back for Bernie James. James getting it over for Billy Crook with 3 minutes remaining third quarter. Here's Brecky now doing the left side of the St. Louis third. Knocked away by Slobo, but he gave it back to Brecky. And Balzone taking a pass puts it wide. Jungle had it blocked there by Chris Kenny. And while Jungle complains, Chris Kenny brings it out to midfield.
And both Jungle and Brecky, after they lose the ball, are just walking back to defend.
Redmond Lane. Lane's shot is blocked by Tuksha, and it goes high in the air and into the crowd. This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Back to the action here at the arena in St. Louis. 2 minutes, 25 seconds remain in the third quarter. It's the Steamers 6 and the Tacoma Stars 4.
And I've spotted a few ex-Steamers up in the stands. Sam Bick, his wife Carl Rose, and his wife as well, sitting there watching. And I've heard that Diego Pesa, former Steamer, great goal scorer with his right foot, is also in town and was expected to make the game tonight.
Out of town, Baltimore 5, Dallas 1 in the fourth period. That's a big one for the playoffs, as Baltimore in a race with Chicago in the Eastern Division.
If that result would stand, I believe it would eliminate Chicago from the playoff race and clinch the fourth place spot for Baltimore.
Minnesota's trying to nail down the Eastern Division title. The Strikers and Cleveland are tied 3-3. They're in the third period at Met Center in Minnesota. Quick foul on St. Louis. Tacoma with a quick start. Fouls are even now at 3 here in the third quarter. Not much of a factor with 1 minute and 59 seconds remaining in the quarter. Bernie James for the Tacoma Stars, marked by Ken Fogarty. Apparently Fogarty, did Fogarty get a piece of him, or was there a foul called away from the play? In any event, it was on St. Louis, and it was the fourth. I'm sorry, it was on Tacoma.
Tacoma. I think Bernie James had the steel stiff arm up in Fogarty's face as he tried to run by him.
Slobo Ilijevski well out of the goal to knock it away from Peter Ward in the corner. Back out to midfield again. Tuksha chasing it back into his own third. For the Tacoma Stars, Tuksha back to midfield for Bernie James. James pass. Goes over to Heel. Heel back for Screws. Screws ran into Daryl Duran, who stayed right with him and blocked the shot. And Screws will have to reload again at midfield.
The Steamers have slowed their pace just a bit. I think they're just trying to hold on till the end of the quarter, and then they'll try and rest up for a strong finish.
Homer Screws in midfield, plays it through. One big hop for Slobo Ilijevski. Ilijevski fakes the outlet pass and then just drops it out in front of the box for Daryl Duran. Duran slowly dribbles out to midfield. Had it broken up there by Ward. We have less than a minute to play in the third quarter. A quarter dominated by St. Louis. Preki. Nice pass for Tuksha out in front. Duran back to break it up. Steamers have played well both ends of the field.
If Duran doesn't hustle, it's a goal there. Tuksha had made an excellent overlapping run. And then when he got the ball, he was looking for Ward at the far post, but Duran was in the right place to cut that pass out.
Evans down the other way, puts a nice move on, but back to break it up is Joe Waters. Foul is called on Tacoma. That'll be 5 now on Tacoma. So maybe the Steamers can do something here as far as drawing that 6th foul in the final 31 seconds of the third quarter. Albert Adati takes a shot. That one bombed wide off the restart. Daryl Duran in the corner. Duran spins, tries to go loose. He goes down. Also going down was Ward. And there's finally a whistle. Ward.
That was a heavy collision. Ward appears to be in considerable pain. He and Duran collided. Looks like they may have bumped knees, but Duran, the bigger of the two players, it looks like Ward got the worst of it.
Now Duran definitely is okay, and Ward looks to be in a great deal of pain.
And the entire Tacoma bench is emptied to go check on Peter Ward. These players, they have playoffs to look forward to. At least they hope so, pending the result.
But now we'll put the ball in play. 19 seconds remaining in the quarter. Keep in mind, Tacoma does have 5 fouls, so the Steamers can work on that here. They can also work on adding to it as Kavanaugh was bumped in there by Heel. And Heel knocked the ball into the crowd. They came close to drawing that 6th foul. There's just 11 seconds remaining.
Duran is the one you like to see with the ball in that kind of situation because he's able to shield it so well and keep possession as he drives towards the goal. He's able then to force the defenders to try and follow him to slow him down.
Duran from the corner with the restart. Off for Kavanaugh. Headed there by Boki Vandovic, and he got it just a little high. Almost had number 4 on the night. As the third quarter will come to an end here at the arena. It's been a dandy. The Steamers 6, the Stars 4. This is St. Louis Steamers soccer. Having a huge banner thanking the fans for their support in the 87-88 season.
And the fans are giving themselves and the Steamers a standing ovation. It's great to see.
There is a bond that you don't see, I don't think, in other sports between soccer. Imagine the New York Yankees, for example, coming out.
No way. I mean, they'd be punching their fans.
Well, there's 15 minutes to go here in the home season for the St. Louis Steamers, and they're closing it out in style. They have a 6-4 lead over the Tacoma Stars. It's been a fun evening.
A fun one for Boki Vandovic. That head ball that he just missed converting on would have completed the circuit for him. It would have meant that he would have scored a goal with his left foot, a goal with his right foot, and one with his head.
Here comes Preki down the other way off the opening kickoff. Preki, though, had Chris Kenny to contend with. He had to rush the shot and fired it wide. Tim Schultz works it free for Ken Fogarty. Or John Bain, rather. Bain was fouled by the Stars. That'll be their first here in the fourth quarter.
Now, prior to the game, the Budweiser MVP for the Steamers for the season was to be awarded, and I didn't see much fanfare about it, but I'm sure that it was Poli Garcia. There's really no contest in terms of that. So Poli Garcia, I've just been given word, yes, was named the Budweiser MVP for the St. Louis Steamers this season, and he's earned it. He's scored so consistently on a team which really has not done that well, and that's really a tribute to a player that is able to still get his points with a team that's not working that well in terms of total offense. And that award was given by sometimes a color commentator here joining John Paul, Bob Kehoe. So he was out there representing Anheuser-Busch and Budweiser to give that award to Poli Garcia.
John Bain controls right now at midfield. John Bain drops it over for Ken Fogarty. Back for Fogarty. Fogarty still controls inside the red line, off for Bain. Bain trying to circle there on Falzone. Falzone, though, staying right with him. And Preki comes back to break it up. Preki now in the corner. Preki comes charging out for the Tacoma Stars. Dribbling with it in midfield, it is Preki. Carrying into the St. Louis third. Preki still controls. Preki working against Coker. Preki's big shot goes wide and high. And the carom comes off for Poli Garcia. Now Garcia leads the offensive charge for St. Louis. Moving into the Tacoma zone. Intended for Bain out in front. Bain hits the goal post again.
There's a penalty kick been called, though, against the Tacoma Stars. Homer Screws, who was in there with Poli Garcia, trying to stop Garcia and Bain as well from getting that shot on goal. I think he either gave one of them a shove or used his hand to deflect the ball, making it more difficult for the Steamers to try and convert that chance. So a penalty kick awarded to the St. Louis Steamers.
And Poli Garcia. Garcia has it set right on the red dot, right along the line, inside the arc, right on the box line there. And Garcia will have a free kick.
Now the shooter is expected to score these, but there's a lot of pressure just because of that, because it is supposed to be an academic type exercise. But if you look at Paul Dolan, all 6'3" of them, the crossbar is only 6'6", and he's got those long arms as well. There's not a whole lot of goal for Garcia to shoot at. He's going to have to rely on power rather than placement.
Garcia surveys the situation. Dolan, lanky in the goal, into the crouch. Garcia, and he scores! Poli Garcia on the penalty shot, and it's 7-4 Steamers.
And the Budweiser MVP, Poli Garcia, shows what a marksman he is. He's been doing that all year, and in this type of situation, he knows how to put him away as well. And I think the key here was that he struck the ball hard and low, and he got it in underneath the very tall Paul Dolan.
Steamers 7, the Stars 4. Tacoma now will control the kickoff, but the Steamers are in control of the game. The 48th goal of the year for Poli Garcia. Jungle now off the kickoff. Ernie James kicking it into the St. Louis third. Headed away by Kavanaugh, controlled by Adati. Out now for Evans. Took a bump there from Jungle. Circles back in his own third of the field. Hands off for Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh sends it back to midfield. Up now for Boki Bandovich, who will work down the left side. Played it out in front of the box area, and that was knocked away out there by Homer Screws, out in front of Dolan, as the St. Louis Steamers came close to making it an 8-4 game. Tacoma clinched a spot in the playoffs with a win at Wichita on Tuesday night. Tacoma will play San Diego, assuming there is playoffs. That'll be getting underway next week, as the season will come to an end for St. Louis tomorrow in Chicago. Ball rolls through to Slobo Ilijevski. Final home game of the year for the St. Louis Steamers. They're going to close it out in style here at the arena. Broken up at midfield. Jungle now controls. Jungle takes a dive. It's not a great one, but it's enough to draw the foul on Hundel.
Talk about a delayed reaction.
Brecky moves in. Brecky gets tied up with Jungle out in front. Jungle goes down again. Nothing called this time. St. Louis with Bandovich, 2-on-1, getting it over for Hundel. Hundel loads up on the left side, and Dolan the save. Hundel the rebound, and that was blocked by James. Kavanaugh getting it off for Evans. Evans trying to put a move on Tuksha. Evans takes a shot, and that goes over the goal and into the crowd. This is St. Louis Steamers soccer. Bob Kurz, Ty Keogh with you, 7-4 in favor of the Steamers. In the corner now is Tim Schultz. Schultz working it out in front. Going down is Coker. As he got a shot away, it popped over the glass back into the crowd again as the Steamers continue to storm the cage.
They've been doing that quite a bit. The Tacoma Stars, I think, pretty much have folded their tents at this point. They know this game does not have any impact in terms of how they'll finish the season in the standings, nor will it have any impact on the home field advantage. They've already lost that. They are the fourth team to make it in the Western Division. Therefore, they will meet the division-leading and league-leading San Diego Sockers.
They have quite a task ahead of themselves in the playoffs. They may be in, but not for long.
It should be a great series. Last year, they met in the Western Final.
Dolan had to make a big save there on Redmond Lane, who was all alone out in front.
He was through, and Duran found him with the through pass. But going back to that series, it's some of the best indoor soccer I've ever seen. Last year, when Tacoma eliminated San Diego in that playoff drive, then Tacoma was beaten by Dallas in the championship final.
But Tacoma has not played nearly as consistently this year as they have a year ago, and San Diego looks to be much improved from over last year. So.
That's true. Tacoma's had a lot of problems in terms of chemistry within their team.
Schultz now controls for St. Louis. Daryl Duran working against Bernie James. James will be called, or will it be Duran that'll be called?
No, it was James. Duran went to step by him, and James, due to a prior confrontation, maybe about 5 seconds before that, made sure that he got a good piece of Daryl Duran.
On the restart, Duran pokes it wide of the goal. Comes out for Redmond Lane. Lane has it taken away by Preki. Preki controls at midfield. Preki losing it to Chris Kenny coming back. Kenny sends it through to Slobo Ilijevski. Now an outlet pass for Daryl Duran. Duran at midfield. Ahead for Redmond Lane. Lane against Tuksha in the corner. Lane tried to play it in front, but Tuksha broke that up and knocked it away from Garcia. Lane gets possession again at midfield. Off for Tim Schultz. Schultz to Redmond Lane, back for Tim Schultz. We've played 5 minutes of the final quarter, so 10 minutes to go in the season here at the arena in St. Louis. Steamers 7, Stars 4. St. Louis will close it out in Chicago tomorrow, but this is the home finale on this Friday evening. 3-line pass, ball will go back over to the St. Louis Steamers. Daryl Duran to put it in play from the red line. Finds Steve Tritchu, long carom shot. Ball will come all the way back to Ken Fogarty at midfield. Fogarty plays it down into the left corner for Poli Garcia. Garcia tried to spin away. Waters broke that up. Garcia stepped back in to knock it loose, intended for Duran, but that was broken up by Falzone. Out to Preki at midfield. In turn, taken away by Daryl Duran. Steamers playing very good soccer. They've looked very good tonight, as Duran will now bring it into the Tacoma zone. Duran got a little bit underneath it, sends it over the glass and back into the crowd with 9:17 remaining.
And Charlie Falzone getting quite a bit of playing time tonight for the Tacoma Stars, as opposed to the story for most of the season when he was either in the stands or on the bench. He's a player that's hoping the Steamers are back next year, because I think he'd very much like to come back to this team. He enjoyed his time here in St. Louis and made very close friendships with a lot of guys on the team before he was traded to Tacoma for Godfrey Ingram.
Back in play now, the Tacoma Stars. Joe Waters deliberately in his own zone, getting it out to center. Intended for Heel, broken up by Bandovich. Bandovich charges into the Tacoma zone, had it knocked loose. Bain, though, recovers. Sent back to midfield, and the Steamers seem to be in complete control with Ken Fogarty. Over for John Bain. Bain for Fogarty. Bokey would like one more to make it 4 goals on the evening. Tacoma just as soon, it looks like they would just as soon the 8:40 go off the clock. Let's play running time, huh?
Exactly, they're thinking about what time their flight leaves. They go home to play tomorrow night as well against Kansas City. Kansas City's still tussling for the home field advantage in that second and third slot in the Western Division. It's between them and Los Angeles.
Dolan now in his own goal. Outlets it to center. Broken up by Bain. Bain now for the Steamers finds Poli Garcia. Garcia for John Bain. Bain plays it back for Ken Fogarty. Fogarty over for Tritchu. His shot goes wide. Boki Bandovich in the corner. Bandovich's shot was wide of the goal. Karam comes free to the keeper, Dolan. And Dolan just sort of rolls it over now for Billy Crook. Billy Crook for the Stars. Out now for Heel at center, broken up by Fogarty. Fogarty takes the return pass from Boki Bandovich. Fogarty back for Bandovich, and he just poked it wide. Gave it a little soft touch, a little too soft maybe, and it went wide. 3-line pass off of Dolan, who was rattled. And the ball will go back.
Yeah, Boki almost had too much time to think about that one. He lined it up with his right foot. He tried an off-speed shot against the grain to try and fool Dolan, but he put it wide.
Kavanaugh trying to roll it in front. That was broken up. Comes back now for Albert Adati right along the red line for John Bain.
And good news for the Tacoma Stars is Peter Ward has come back on the field to play again after what looked like it could have been a very serious injury in his collision with Darrell Durant, but it must have been just a bump or a bruise, something that was very painful at first, but that he was able to shake off later.
This is St. Louis Steamer soccer.
A bit more interesting, there's almost a half a quarter left, and they're already in the sixth attacker mode.
Darrell Durant gets dumped that time by Gary Heel. And the foul will go against Heel. That'll be 4 now on Tacoma here in the fourth quarter, 2 against St. Louis. Joe Waters, the sixth attacker, is in goal. He handles the ball now and outlets it to Preki. Preki at midfield. For the Tacoma Stars. Gets it for Waters. Waters over for Billy Crook. Crook works it down for foul zone. Back out for Crook. Tacoma trailing by 3, 6 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the game. Off for Crook. Crook for Waters. Foul zone, drilled one off the outside of the goalpost. Actually missed the post and slapped off the MISL sign, but it didn't miss by much. Back the other way, Lane. Lane scores! Preki just not getting back fast enough. Lane wanting it a little more, and Lane beating the sixth attacker, scrambling back in the goal. Joe Waters, and it's 8-4 St. Louis.
And Redmond Lane showing great quickness at this late stage of the game. And he's not exactly a rookie either. He's been with the Steamers for 7 seasons now, so he finished that one up very well. Preki putting a lot of pressure on him, but Redmond Lane still getting in the quick shot at the last minute to beat Joe Waters, the sixth attacker, and that shot may have beaten just about any goalkeeper.
Right along the turf and just inside the goalpost, to the left of Waters it would be.
It was moving along at a good clip, and Lane with that left foot, he can crack him good.
So he cracked that one, and it's 8-4 now. Lane is 12th of the year. Darrell Durant gets the assist at 8:37, and the Steamers are on a roll. They have an 8-4 lead over the Stars, 6:10 remaining. Waters still in the sixth attacker uniform, getting it over for Preki. Preki finds Crook. Crook got in front. That one was deflected, and it goes high off the glass. Right on top of Slobo, who gets up looking undaunted. At midfield, it's foul zone again. Laying it back for Waters. Waters getting it over. Heel. Broken up out in front. And Hundelt sends it back out to midfield again. Waters finds Heel. Moves it down for Billy Crook, whose shot was knocked away. Preki takes a shot. That missed by 20 feet. And Hundelt brings it back out to midfield. Hundelt still controls for St. Louis along the far boards. Moves away from Crook. It's Hundelt dropping it off into the corner. Back out in front, a sliding save by Waters. And reloading his Tritchu in midfield. Right back into the Tacoma zone, off for Hundelt. Knocked away that time. Waters controls the sixth attacker, works it out for foul zone. Foul zone puts a move on Adati, moves down the right side. Foul zone, and sticking out the foot is Slobo Ilijevski to stop him on the short side. Slobo another save, ball high in the air and into the crowd. And let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is St. Louis Steamer Soccer. Well, for all of the bad evenings that we've had at the arena this year, they're not going to make up for it tonight, but it certainly will send everyone home with a smile on their face and maybe thoughts of what could have been, as the Steamers have an 8-4 lead over the Stars with 4:54 to go.
It's been a great effort.
Waters off the restart, gets it for foul zone, and foul zone pokes the loose ball in past the fallen Slobo Ilijevski. And in 10 minutes and 9 seconds of the final quarter, the Stars have scored to make it 8-5.
And that's probably not the last we'll hear from the Tacoma Stars. They have an ability to come up with some goals, but I think the Steamers want this more desperately because it is their last home game, and the fans have responded very well. And the guys want to go out on a winning note here, so they're going to hustle and they're going to come up with the victory here. But Tacoma's, they're very dangerous around the goal there. On the restart there, Preki just shoved the ball sideways to Waters. Waters drilled a shot, which Slobo saved, but Charlie Falzone was right there to be able to push the rebound just over Slobo.
Final score from Baltimore. The Blast beat the Sidekicks tonight 6-2 in the fourth quarter in Minnesota. Cleveland leads the hometown Strikers 4-3. That's the battle for first place in the Eastern Division.
That's right. Down to the wire there for first place and home field advantage in the playoffs. And that victory for Baltimore, I believe, clinches the final playoff spot in the Eastern Division for them and puts Chicago out of it.
Slobo getting it for Daryl Duran in midfield. Duran now for the Steamers in the foot race over there with Homer Screws. Plays it on the carom for Bandovich, who had it knocked loose by Tuksha. Now Daryl Duran in the right corner for St. Louis, bothered by foul zone. Tried to play it off the boards out in front. That failed to click with any particular Steamer, and it comes back out to Preki at midfield. Preki had it broken up by Fogarty, who's called for the holding call. That'll be the third foul on the Steamers here in the fourth quarter.
And referee Marty Templin helps Preki up to his feet. Preki looking a bit tired, just reached out his hand to Marty and said, hey, help me up. It's been a long season.
Still the sixth attacker mode. Joe Waters controls.
You know, Marty should have told him it's a long season for referees, too.
St. Louis called for their fourth foul as Trichu reached in and grabbed Peter Ward. Ward may have had a half step on him, so Ward on the restart gets it back, and Slobo had to make a save that time as he slid out to stop Billy Crook. At midfield, Preki on a missed header. Bokovic sends it back to midfield. Crook drops off of the sixth attacker, Waters, with 3:38 remaining. Waters for Crook. Knocked loose by Fogarty. Here's a chance for foul zone, and foul zone puts the ball into the crowd. This is St. Louis Steamer soccer. Back here at the arena, Boki Bandovich has been shaken up. I think he'll be all right. Looks like he may have had the wind knocked out of him. And he's being attended to right at the top of the arc in the St. Louis third of the field with 3 minutes and 28 seconds remaining.
Well, the fans being treated to quite a performance by that young man, Boki Bandovich, and also to some offensive production by the St. Louis Steamers. Only one other time this season have they come up with 8 goals. That was March the 11th. Here when the Steamers, I believe it was here, when the Steamers beat Los Angeles 8-7. So not too many times have St. Louis Steamer fans been able to see the Steamers come up with 8 goals.
13 in total tonight, as 5 also belong to the Tacoma Stars. And the Steamers gunning for that 17th win of the year. This is the final home date of 1987-88. And of course, if there are playoffs in the Major Indoor Soccer League this year, the Steamers will just be spectators. And they can hope for better things hopefully next year. Slobo Ilijevski on the restart. Headed there by Waters. That goes into the St. Louis bench. The ball will belong to the Steamers.
It's a foul against Waters as well, though, because he was all over Redmond Lane's back as he went up for the head ball.
So that'll be 5 fouls now on Tacoma, which will help the Steamer cause that much more. And Chris Kenny controls. Steamers have joined Tacoma. They just soon see the last 3:15 run out now. They have a 8-5 lead. Hundelt carries to the corner. Waters knocks it away. Off for Sharp. Knocked loose by Kenny in the corner. Now Chris Kenny for St. Louis. Tried to get it back in front. Comes back for Hundelt. Hundelt at the top of the box. Hundelt off for Kenny. His shot was blocked in there by Steve Sharp as the Steamers continue to try and force the action. Finally, it comes free to Heel. And Heel, just inside his own red line, will bring it out to midfield. Hands it off to Preki with 2:45 remaining. Preki with his 53rd goal, but that's a memory now, back in the first period on a shootout, which gave him the scoring lead in the Major Indoor Soccer League. For Ward, back in front was knocked away, and Preki controls. 2.5 minutes remain. 8-5 Steamers. Here's Preki. Across for Billy Crook. Crook had it broken up by Redmond Lane. Lane to Adati, who does a scissors kick and sends it back to midfield.
Acrobatics by Albert Adati.
Preki Turns Adati inside out, but Adati jumps up to finally knock the ball away, and John Bain leads the offensive charge. Here's Adati down the left side. Adati across, hitting the goalpost, and then going into the crowd as they slid it across to Redmond Lane, and Lane bounced one off the pipe.
They worked it very well. Adati's pass on the money for Redmond Lane. I think Redmond just a little bit tired at the end of his shift. Wasn't able to convert that because all it would have taken would be for him to just put it on goal, as Waters had not gotten back into the net yet.
A minute and 57 seconds remaining. The hat trick tonight for Boki Bandovich. And the Steamers are going to close with a victory at home. And the crowd of 4,800, although small, seems to be very much into the action. Game that John Paul Della Camera is doing tonight in San Diego. The Sockers lead Kansas City 3-1 in the second period. That's on FNN Score. That is the Major Indoor Soccer League game of the week. Charging back the other way is Preki. Preki now for Tacoma takes the shot. That deflects off of the knee there, I believe, as Schultz, and goes into the crowd. It has been an entertaining and a fun evening tonight at the arena.
It was an autograph night as well. Some painters' caps being given out to all the fans that came in, and the Steamers spent some time before the game putting their autographs on all of those caps.
Corner kick for Tacoma, 1:43 remaining. Hitting the goalpost right off the corner kick was Steve Sharp. Now Sharp has it again. Plays it through, and it's picked off in there by Slobo, and Slobo will boot it out.
Slobo looked like a bowler there trying to get that ball to curve towards the empty net.
Oli Garcia. Garcia controls. Garcia for Daryl Duran. Now Duran tried to work it past Sharp, and instead the ball rolls through to the sixth man Waters, and Waters gets it outletted out to midfield. Charging in is Heel. Trying to put a move on Schultz, and Schultz gets a pretty good piece of him to pick up the fifth ball. You're going to get a foul, you may as well get your money.
He got him good, and that's his old pal Gary Heel, who he had a little tussle with earlier. So he's looking for those type of opportunities.
Broken up by Garcia on the restart, and it goes through to Slobo, and Slobo will try it again.
Slobo way off again as he gets down on himself, thinking he could have a goal here if he could hit that ball straight.
Duran breaks it up in midfield. Duran sliding tackle for Garcia for Duran. Duran, a sliding tackle to knock the ball away by Billy Crook.
Billy Crook's the only man back. Joe Waters not even there, so one man back, he's not even a goalkeeper.
Ward taking a return pass. Slobo makes the save. Going to try again. 28 seconds remaining. Waters chasing it back with Hundell. Hundell tried to break it up. Garcia tried to get it loose, but foul zone. Out to midfield for Heel with 19 seconds left. 2 minutes left in regulation in Minnesota. It's Cleveland 5, the Strikers 3. So the Strikers will not nail down the Eastern Division Championship, it looks like. And now there'll be one game difference as we head into the final game of the season.
And the fans singing goodbye to the Tacoma Stars. They're up, standing, cheering, waving their painters' caps, which were sponsored by Metropolitan Life, who've been a very consistent sponsor for the MISL.
And of course, the crowd here enjoying it at the arena. There's been a lot of long evenings at the arena over the course of the winter, and at least the final one, the fans are going to remember. Ball rolling towards that empty net with 7 seconds left. Waters going back with Bandovich. Bandovich picks it up. Here's a chance for Bandovich, but he's stopped by Waters as